Hey everybody, it's Danny J here for another edition of Capes Not Included right here on the DJB Productions Network. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave some comments. Let us know what you're thinking. We always love to hear from you guys. Once again, we have a great thing to go over today. We're talking about She-Hulk episode 2. It's a recap. I hope everybody's enjoying this actual great show as we are. But before we get into the recap, let me get on who we have on the show with us. We got, of course, Matt Sunner hanging
Good
out.
morning, afternoon, good evening.
That's right. We got my man Matt Sunner. And then we got Jason Leach coming in on here.
What's going on, good people?
What's slapping in? What's slapping in? Guys, episode 2 we're talking about right now for She-Hulk. So far, liking the series. I'm digging the series a lot. We get a little bit more of the pace of what the show is going to be about, and we'll talk about that in today's episode. And I rewatched it actually this morning before we're recording today, just because I wanted to just make sure of any details. It's a short show; it's only a half hour, but like it's one of those things where they pack a lot in it.
Got onto it. It was like something like, "What? It's over."
Yeah,
which
yeah,
like
a
good thing. I mean,
yeah, in a sense,
Take
it really is.
Take out the credits. It was like 14 minutes.
I know. Seriously, because and you have to watch the credits because of the fact that there's the end credit scenes, and also there's a lot of Easter eggs in the actual animated credits that they do. Yeah. And that's if you want to just be like really geeky and stuff like that. I don't think it really matters that you look at the credits. In all honesty, I watch a lot of nerd sites that are doing breakdowns of the show and stuff like that, and they really are getting into stuff. And I'm like, all right, enough. There's no reason.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Yeah, I don't even want to say TMI. I'm just like too much nerd at that point. But we get some pretty cool stuff in this. We now get the focus of what the show is going to be about, based on what happened in episode 1. What is the name of the law firm? It's JLKH or JLKG or something like that.
JLK and H.
JLK and H. Thank you. They end up having that trial that's in the end of episode 1 ruled a mistrial because of the fight that breaks out between She-Hulk and Titania. Basically,
which unfortunately we did not get to see.
No, we really didn't. That was poorly edited.
I was really expecting to see the episode pick up, not obviously take up a whole ton of time in the episode, but I would have liked to have her see her, fight Titania.
Well, I think we're going to get that later on. This was actually, if you look at a lot of stuff, the Titania fight that we actually even saw was supposed to be later on in the series. They rearranged stuff, I guess, for pacing, and said, you know what, let's do it this way because we want to tell this story this way. So they kind of took the Titania fight, which would have happened technically later on in the series, and they put it in the first episode to kind of set the pace that way. So a lot of people are complaining that it kind of dumbed down Titania. I'm sure Jason's going to be back on in a second. But in that sense, but then they during that fight, because she saves the jury, they rule it a mistrial because they figure the jury's going to be biased towards their hero, of course.
Exactly.
So now she loses that trial, and because her boss lost that particular trial, their law firm, and she's an assistant DA. Because of that, we have areas. Because of that, we then get a scenario where she's.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I just disappeared.
No, you're good.
It's all right. You're back. That's the important thing.
You're back, and that's what we care about. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that she gets fired.
Yeah.
For and why I don't know, and what that scenario is.
Well,
they declared it.
Well, I mean, I know, I know, but like,
the boss just kind of feels that hey, it's like you're a superhero. Everybody's going to love you. What jury is going to want to rule against a superhero?
Exactly.
And anybody that you're prosecuting is going to tend to then use that as an appeal.
And I love the fact that they changed the title sequence right after she was fired, and it says instead of attorney for hire, it was She-Hulk, or excuse me,
instead of attorney
at law, it said
attorney for hire.
Attorney for hire.
Yeah,
but that was really clever.
Yeah.
So we get through that, and then what happens is at that point, she's now down her luck, and we're seeing that not only is this poor girl saying, "Hey, I had to fight for my position. I had to fight for what I'm doing, and I had to fight, to get into this position where I'm at. But now I do the right thing, reluctantly with these Hulk powers,
and it bites me in the ass.
And it bites me in the ass, exactly. So now she's like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, in a sense. She's finding that she's getting a lot of pushback from other law firms because they don't want to deal with that kind of a distraction, as they say. Sideshow, there's even said stuff like that.
Sorry,
Jason's having a lot of problems.
Yeah, I have to plug in. Sir.
Yeah, there he goes. So in that sense, so it's one of those things where she's not really jumping off with both feet in a positive manner when it comes to this, to doing this. You know what I mean? So I feel bad for her in that sense.
Especially when we get to see with her dealing with with the family. The family dinner is great. It's like I guess it's the brother or the cousin or something.
Yeah,
it's like going like, oh well, yeah, sorry you lost your job. I just became a manager at Best Buy.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like, so I got that kind of like, oh yeah, hey man, like, hey, she's not the favorite now. Hey, I got a job. She don't.
Yeah,
I know. Now, kind of an attitude,
And I was like, and we get now and you're right. We get now to look at these, her extended family, and stuff like that.
Her
and
parents, which hey, wasn't it fun to see cousin Larry Appleton as her
I
dad?
know, and how
Baker.
And how old does that guy look, right?
Oh, I know.
You're like, where's Balky at? Where's he at?
That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome to have him there.
Now, what we get though now,
the uncle or something.
Now, I know, right? Now, what we get though now is they're like, hey, well, it could be worse. You didn't destroy a city, blah blah blah. But in the sense of this, we're now getting a scenario where, we're kind of like making fun with the Hulk rather than, and to me, it kind of took away from the fear factor of Hulk, if that makes sense to me. I wasn't necessarily into that because of that scenario. But it was one of those things where, we're dealing with that and they're kind of like making fun. And I know that She-Hulk Hulk's fun, but to me, it took away from how dangerous the Hulk is, and legit how dangerous this scenario could be for her, in a sense.
Yeah, I can see they kind of they went a little too far with it.
Right. She, fast forward, she's down her luck. She's in the bar, she's drinking, and the boss from the other law firm comes in and says, "Hey, we're starting a superhero law firm. I like the way you conducted yourself. You were going to win if I didn't declare it a mistrial." He goes, "I want you to lead my superhero division of my law firm." And she's like, "Okay." And we fast forward a little bit, and basically her first case is to defend Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination, even though she says, "Hey, there's a problem here. Like, this guy tried to kill my cousin, so I can't be partial in this non-partialness." And he's like, "I don't care." It's he's like basically
you either take the case or you don't have a job.
Right.
And two, she shows up first day and it's like, yeah, this is not going to work. If you're going to do this, you're doing it as She-Hulk.
Right.
Yeah, she has to actually.
Not doing it as you're going to do it as She-Hulk.
Even at the office, she has to be She-Hulk. That's the funny thing. So we're now seeing that scenario where she's like, "Are you serious? Like, this is what I have to do." This is really like now people are going to think I got this job because I'm She-Hulk, not because I'm Jennifer Walters. So she's constantly she's struggling with her confidence, even as She-Hulk, which is kind of a different thing because in the comic book, she gains a lot of confidence by becoming She-Hulk. In this case, in with this, she's not. So that's a scenario. We move forward now. She talks to Blonsky. Blonsky is now in there saying, "Hey, like I'm trying to reform myself," and he puts out a good argument to say, "Hey, I was on loan to the United States government. There was nothing personal. I wanted to be the good guy, and the threat was the Incredible Hulk.
To decide to kill your cousin.
Yeah,
I was doing my job.
Sent to eliminate a threat.
Yeah, exactly. And therefore, he's like, I'm getting screwed. And she's and you see that realization in her face to say, "Oh God, you're kind of right." This makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now go ahead.
I thought at the same time she was also thinking, okay, well, we can have a different lawsuit and sue the government and make this guy $1 billion. Said the only reason I did it is because your government stuffed me full of super serum, and I thought I was going to be Captain America, but I got screwed.
Yeah, and that the realization hit in real quick. She's like, "Hey, you were prompted by what they put in you, blah blah blah." Because she mentions like the Harlem thing, like, "Hey, you went rogue during that." Now we get so she decides to say take it, and he makes mentioning of these seven
pen
pals, which we're suspecting are the Thunderbolts. Right. That's what we're suspecting that it is. It's the Thunderbolts because there's a plan in motion, basically, and we're waiting to see how that works out. But she goes to Bruce. She says to Bruce, she calls him up and says, "Hey, like I want to just let you know, hey, this is there's a problem here, and I just want to let you know what's happening."
He's like, yeah, he reached out to me. He even sent me a wonderful haiku apologizing.
Yeah. I like that.
And it's like, yeah, I'm good with it. Go ahead. No biggie.
Yeah, so what we're going to talk about now is that we have, potential Thunderbolts, but she's talking to Bruce and saying, "Hey, like I want to take this job," and basically he goes in and says, "Oh, well, I've already talked to Blonsky. He sent me letters before. We kind of squashed it." And the really funny thing about this is he goes, "It was so long ago. It was so many years ago. I was a different person, literally." And then she goes, which is a nod to Edward Norton, which I thought was very, very funny. And then from there we get that they do a pullback, and he's actually in the Sicarian ship flying off into space. So now we're getting more into like he's dealing with the Sicarian scenario, which a lot of people are suspecting this could be him going back to deal with his son Scar, which he may or may not know about at this moment. We don't know what his knowledge is of it, but it's one of those things where he is flying off back to the planet Sakaar for a potential Planet Hulk or World War Hulk, which is kind of neat. So now she says, "All right, I'm going to take this job," and then it ends on she tells the boss, and the boss says, "All right, well, you better just take a look at the news," and the news has footage. How they have footage, I have no idea, but they have footage of Abomination and Wong fighting in those cage fights that you saw in the movie Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning that Wong, they don't tell you about anything about Wong, but it's like, how did Blonsky break out of prison? This is going to totally affect
when
the
they
case.
show you how secure that prison is.
Right. Exactly. So now she's like, like, what the hell? And then it breaks to credits, and then in our end credit scene, we show how her dad is basically taking full advantage of his daughter being a She-Hulk, and he's having her carry large items and doing all the heavy lifting.
Water cooler bottles, and she's carrying like 9 of these water cooler jugs,
in
the house.
And then, she's picking up the car for so they can change a tire.
Yeah, like really funny stuff like that. And you're like, all right, this is kind of cool. But once again, like I said, my only problem with that part of the humor is that they kind of like made light of the Hulk, the scenario of the Hulk. And that I think was like, because he needs to be, based on that, and people are like, oh, the Hulk, it's a stupid name, but like nobody's respecting this destruction that just happens to be on the side of good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which may or may not be leading up to when he turns World War Hulk and he's like, screw the world, planet Earth, and that's it. I'm going to destroy all you. You don't respect me, So that's what we got from there, guys. What are your thoughts, Matt, on the episode so far?
Well, again, as we said, about the first episode, this is really me getting acquainted with the character. So I really enjoyed it. I thought the pacing was great. Jason actually brought up, while we were talking off there, and the fact that how the pacing was. It's like I suddenly, me and my wife are watching it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, that's the end. It's already been half hour.
Yeah,
but there was really no real action, and to have a show with no real action suddenly be all like, wait a minute, it's done. So
it's flying by.
Far, I mean, it's just the pacing is great. The way it's being written, they're not dwelling on anything too long. They're kind of getting in, getting out of the scenario. Boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, instead of just like going like, oh man, this is a half-hour show, and it's like, geez, we're only 15 minutes in. Feels like I've been sitting here all night.
Exactly.
There's like you said, there's like zero action, but it was still like exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really odd that it is very exciting to watch, even though there's nothing happening. Go ahead, Jace. I didn't mean to step on you. Go ahead, Jace.
No. I was just saying that gives credit to the writers that we had a very entertaining episode, and there's really, I think, with these episodes, there's really no filler. Like everything needs to be there, and it's rapid fire. Yeah. It keeps your attention. I like the show a lot more than I thought I was going to. I went back and watched this second episode again yesterday.
Okay.
Unprepared for this, but I enjoyed it just as much.
Yeah.
Now I did hear there's an Easter egg for Wolverine, and I went back and I watched it again, and I didn't catch it at all. Did you guys?
The Easter egg is, and I'm going to cheat because I can't take credit for this for my show, but I saw it on another breakdown show. The Easter egg for Wolverine is when she's looking for a job and she's got her paralegal next to her. This is before she gets the job, and she's looking at the website where it was for like some kind of crazy job at a theme park or something like that, right? In the articles, you'll see an article off to the right about a person with claws, basically.
Okay.
Or a person with metal claws or something like that attacks someone in a bar. And it kind of makes, and what that kind of really makes reference to is how we first meet Wolverine in X1.
Yeah.
The very first Fox oriented X-Men movie, where he's in that bar. That's the first time we see him. When Rogue finds him, it's in there, and it's kind of like mentioning of that in a sense.
Gotcha.
So that's where that comes from, because there's actually other, in those articles, there's actually other Easter eggs in there as well. Nothing too crazy. Nerds were going nuts with this stuff, but like, nothing too crazy. But that's where that came from. Yeah, there was nothing really physically mentioned per se.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Now we were talking about, and you were reading up, Jason, on how the 7 inmates who we kind of assumed as well, the 7 pen pals who bought property for him were the Thunderbolts. Knowing what we know, that the Thunderbolts are on their way in like phase 5 or something like that, and that Abomination's is more than likely going to be part of that cast, that we kind of can make that assumption. For the person that doesn't realize anything, they literally could just be, what we said before, like when like women who fall in love with inmates, and become pen pals and stuff like that.
7 pen pals, and he keeps referring to them as soulmates.
Yes. Right. Yes. So it's kind of leading you down the scenario to say, oh, well, maybe this is like where these women these are women, and they have romantic, women or men, and they have romantic intention because they're in love with the idea of Emil Blonsky, but to sit there and say, well, no, this is the Thunderbolts, and Emel's not all he's cracked up to be. His namaste attitude is a little bit more of a front than we realize. That leads you down a whole other path, and it when you think about it, it leads you down where we're going to need She-Hulk to really like get her shit together and stop worrying about stuff and just embrace this.
Right.
Because you're going to be needed very soon, type of thing. Once again, I think it's a great episode. It gave us a lot more than episode 1. And like you said, the pacing was so fast and furious. Not to coin a phrase, but it was something that really, like, you're like, oh, I can't wait for episode 3. I don't know what's happening. I have no idea. Yeah. Now keep in mind, She-Hulk is a character that's commonly in the comic books with Black Panther, with the Fantastic Four, and Avengers and stuff like that. So
there's a lot of great opportunity for cameos and obviously setting up the next phases of the MCU. So
she's strategically there. I mean, she is. Yeah. This series is strategically there because of the fact that she is a character that leads into the top movies that are coming out over the next 2 phases. And the fact that we're getting the Fantastic Four, and she's going to be involved in them, and the fact that we're getting a new, the Black Panther movie, and we get Namor as a part of that. That's going to be a part of that too. So it is leading into a lot of stuff. And then obviously the fact that they're branching off and potentially giving us either Planet Hulk, which in a sense, Thor Ragnarok was the Planet Hulk story. And then Thor kind of took over as the limelight of that movie. But that, for the most part, was Planet Hulk. Right. But we might get World War Hulk. So which means like now we're the potential that we may lose Professor Hulk, Smart Hulk, as he's coined in the show, and we may get go back to being like, whatever, Banner, I'm taking over. This is bullshit and blah blah blah.
I'm not digging the Smart Hulk. I'll be honest with you.
It's not as fun. It's not as fun. It's not as fun.
I mean, it played. I think it played out well for Infinity. For Endgame.
Yeah.
It played out well, but it's like, okay, we don't need too much more of them.
Right.
No.
And
the funny thing was, what I heard years ago. Now, to what validity, I don't know, but it was a matter of Mark Ruffalo wanting more FaceTime.
Yeah.
So therefore,
motion capture and CG.
Right, and so therefore, let's make Smart Hulk so that we can get Mark Ruffalo to actually act more. And that's what it all came down to. And I'm like, all right, great. But you know what? More to me, Bruce Banner should not be that fun.
Yeah.
This guy should really be a more depressed person. Mm-hmm. You know, regardless of what he's done with the Hulk, he should be someone that's like really like, I'm still trying to cure myself of this. I'm not accepting of this. Yeah. And that's where Jen turns around and says, hey, I can make a positive out of a negative with this. You see what I'm saying? Like, she is supposed to be the counterbalance, not the other way around. So that's where I kind of get lost in the shuffle with this, knowing the character the way I do. Mm-hmm. But guys, episode 3 will come out next Thursday. We will be back with another episode to recap that as well. So once again, from my friend Matt Sunner, from my friend Jason Leach, my name is Danny J. This is Capes Not Included. Until next time, keep your cape in the wind and your eyes to the stars. Have a great day, everybody.